All right, Saturday, May 17th. This is the Lion Channel. I'm John. Let me shut this window. We got the long guys here. I didn't know they worked on Saturdays, but it's nice because the lawn was getting a little long, and it's walking the dog. I mean, doesn't get better than that when the lawn's cut. It's like he can just do his thing, and it's easy to take care of. So today, huge manifestation. Okay, not in so much in terms of like the physical manifestation, but it's a manifestation of epic proportions because of how it came about while I was applying the law of assumption. All right, so before I get to that though, I just want to, somebody left a comment today, which I appreciate and welcome all comments. Okay, and I wanted to comment on his comment or their comment because I was thinking about it like afterwards, because it was, his comment was basically like, I subscribe to your channel, that's great, I like your video and I'm interested in watching your journey, but then he gave me some advice, and he said to, ignore the thumbs downs, which I didn't even know there were thumbs downs. And, on top of that, turn off the comments because, people, I guess trying to protect myself from what, people might say. But the more and more I thought about that, I was like, I guess I don't even think about that stuff, because my intentions of making this channel, sure, it's for me. It looks like, my manifesting journey, and it will be cool. It is cool, like talking about all the things that I'm manifesting that would kind of like get lost in the shuffle of things. Like all these things that I'm talking about, if I wasn't, if somebody asked me like, what have you manifested? I mean, how many things have I manifested so far? Like how many things have changed? How many glitches do I talk about that I wouldn't remember unless I was making these videos? So in that aspect, it's cool. But when it comes down to the core of it, when I started making these videos, I was coming from a place like, I want to post this because I know it works. I know what I've seen. So now I want to share this experience, because people who are coming on and watching these things and watching the videos each day of the manifestations that are coming, that are happening to somebody like me, that should give you all the confidence in the world that you could do the same thing. Like you can't come from a lower starting ground than where I was coming from mentally. Okay, physically you might be in a worse place, but mentally I didn't want to be here anymore. All right, so that was my starting ground. You're starting from somebody who didn't want to be here anymore and started applying this stuff, and now they're having things happen that I'm about to tell you about that just happened. Enormous manifestation, okay? So I listen to David. I want to give David props, okay? Elmer O. Locker Jr. When I first started this channel, I mentioned his school. And I go on his school every day, and I'm doing the exercises, and I'm watching his videos and applying the stuff, and I listen to him every single day. He is my teacher, okay? He is my Mr. Miyagi. He's the person that I listen to. I initially found the law of assumption listening to Brendan Woods, but I just gravitated towards Elmer, all right? And he is just, he's just another level of consciousness, okay? And just how he answers questions in the live, the community calls where people are asking him questions, and they ask him like really what seem like difficult questions, and he answers them without even taking a breath, and it's like the perfect answer every single time. All right, so yesterday I was listening to one of his videos, so go check him out anyway. I'll share his handle down below. But yesterday I was listening to one of his videos, and somebody was asking about, visualizing from the event, like the difference of visualizing of something and visualizing from something. And he explained it in a way that I hadn't, he probably said it before, but it was the first time I actually heard it and thought about it in the way I thought about it yesterday. And so basically what he said is that visualizing from an event, for me to visualize from an event would be like me making this video right now, but if I stopped and started visualizing, I would visualize myself as the person that I wanted to be in that place. So I would close my eyes and I would visualize like I was there and imagine that I was there at that moment, and at that same time feel like I was there, but remembering back to this moment that I was making this video, which seems like it's now, but now is there's parallel realities and all that kind of stuff. So now is like forever. Now it could be anything. So once you close your eyes and you're imagining you're there now in that spot, and then remembering this moment, that's the correct way to visualize. All right, so he explains it much better. Okay, so I actually just got what he was saying today. So yesterday I digested it, and then I went, and as I said, I grew up in a low-income family. Okay, so I feel like normally in low-income families, because it was not only in my family, but it was like gambling and sports betting was something that was like just all around me. Like in school, all my friends were doing it. It was just something that we did, and I've continued to do for my whole life, and it has sometimes caused, some of the issues that I've had in the past. Okay, so I still, and when I started this channel, and the channel is called the Lion Channel. Okay, when I started this channel, that's what I was talking about, was sports betting. I'd come up with sports systems, and I would share the picks on here, and I would do some motivational stuff. So I just kept the name the Lion Channel. All right, so most of you who are watching these videos probably don't know that. All right, so I still do sports bet. Okay, and I've actually been using it as kind of like, because even David talks about it, like he's used some techniques over the course of his developing his consciousness. He's used some techniques to win at sports betting and win in, Vegas, playing slot machines and that kind of stuff. So I heard him talking about that, and so I started, trying some techniques, and they've been doing okay. I'm doing a lot better than I was, and I'm not really like, we're talking about like pennies, like dollar bets, $2 bets, $5 is like the tops, whatever. All right, so today I I had if you know about sports betting, I had a 5-game soccer parlay. Okay. And so that was already going, and it was looking like maybe I was going to win 1 game out of 5. Okay. 1 game won in the first half. Then I had 2 games that had no goals at halftime, and I was playing the overs in these games. So 2 games that still needed 3 goals in the second half. Then I had another game which I needed 4 goals in the game. They only had 1 goal at halftime. And then the 4th game, they had 1 goal at halftime, so they needed 2 more in the second half. They needed 3. Okay, and there was a couple goals that were called back. Okay, like in the one game they scored, and 2 of the games they scored, but the goals got called back. So it looked like, for all intents and purposes, I was probably going to lose 4 out of 5. All right. And I even realized, I even saw this too at halftime. My cash out, it was a $5 parlay, and my cash out was less than 50 cents. Just to give you an idea of, and I thought 50 cents was actually high. Okay. So I was actually like thinking about taking 50 cents. All right. So, but I never do that anymore. But anyway, so that's just to give you an idea of how much of a chance this parlay had to win in the second half. If you know anything about, and one of the games was Brazil. Okay, if you know anything about soccer, they don't score many goals in Brazil, and so the odds at the beginning of the game, of that Brazil game, were way against me. And then for them not to score any goals in the second half, I think it was like, to go over 2.5 was like plus 600 or something like that. Like you would put up $10 to win 60. That's how. So I basically had no chance. Okay. But I remembered yesterday and him talking about what I just tried to explain. And I was listening to another one of his videos today, and that came up again, where he explained it again. So, and then this time he explained it, and the fact that I heard it yesterday, and then I was able to digest it, I got a deeper understanding when I heard it again today. So I was like, okay. I said, you know what? I'm going to try this. And so I closed my eyes and I started visualizing myself sitting at, now, as you know, if you've watched this channel, what I visualize each night is the feeling of, I have a $10 million house and I have $30 million in the bank with millions of dollars still to come in. All right. So I closed my eyes. I visualized myself laying by the pool. So I closed my eyes here, and then I envisioned myself, visualized myself, and felt like I was there at this moment. I wasn't here anymore. I was at the pool, and I was thinking, and my $10 million house was there, and I thought about the $30 million in my bank account. So I was feeling all that, and I was feeling like I was that person. And then I was remembering back on this day and this moment, and I was remembering the moment that I visualized I was that person. And I remembered how I felt at this moment, and I guess kind of like, this is so hard to explain. It's so trippy. So I remembered myself hitting and winning this parlay. Okay, I was remembering, like, man, I remember that moment when I visualized this, and I was remembering myself as how I was feeling at that moment. Like, let me just try and do this, and the uncertainty of that parlay, and saying, let's just try this, and then that parlay winning. Okay. trying to explain it the best I can. All right, so anyway, the parlay wound up winning. Okay, 2 of the games, they scored, the Brazil game, they scored 3 goals in like 6 minutes. The Switzerland game that I had, that had no goals at halftime, they actually wound up scoring with like no time left. The team scored and made it 2-1 to go over the 2.5. And then I had one more game remaining, and it was a French game. It was Lens and I forget who they were playing, but Lens was up 2-0, so I still needed 2 goals in the 70th minute. But I'd already won the first 4 games, and I was like, this is definitely winning. And I was looking at my cash out. They scored a 3rd goal in like the 75th minute, and my cash out was like more than half of what I would have won. And normally I would think about taking that, but I was like, because it's a good financial decision, right? But when you know that it's already done, I just kept telling myself, I'm like, I already did this. I already lived it, because I did in my imagination as that guy, because I remembered it, because I was him. And they wound up scoring a couple minutes later, the 4th goal. And so I won. But I'm trying to explain this as the best I can, okay? But I tried to explain it to my wife, and she was kind of, said great, basically. When are you going to be ready? You got to take a shower and still make a video. But I guess probably only I can grasp the enormousness, if that's a word, of what just happened. Because if I can do it, if I can do that with this, I can do that with anything. Okay, it's not so much how much I won or even hitting a parlay. It's the fact that I went into my imagination, and I feel like I just changed reality in my world. Okay, because as I talk about, this is a simulation. All right, it's Elon Musk, 99.99% chance this is a simulation, smartest guy in the world, and all the glitches that I continue talking about. So that's the starting ground. Like, if you can get on board, that's what made the biggest difference for me, is once I realized that this was a simulation, it let go of all the doubt and fear and worry, and I wasn't so wrapped up in what's happening now. My wife just sent me a text, wrap it up, ! Okay, that's in my simulation too, I guess. But I wasn't so wrapped up in what's happening now, or I'm not so wrapped up in what's happening now. So I have so much more, I have all of my energy to use on imagination and, just staying present. And so that's what I'm doing. And I feel like that's why these changes are happening rapidly for me. But I'm not special. I'm just doing the work and just staying consistent in what I'm doing. And each day, it just feels like there's new things, new manifestations, new great manifestations taking place each day. So back to the comment that I was talking about, when you know that this stuff works, I could get 100 comments telling me that this doesn't work, and that they've done X, Y, and Z, and they've tried this, and you're an idiot or whatever. I could get the worst comments imaginable, but it doesn't make a difference to me, okay? Because I know this works. And if by me sharing this information, it helps one person, then it helps one person. That's one more person than I would have helped if I didn't make these videos. And so it's all that, this, and when you know this is a simulation, you know that's old vibration and energy anyway. And so that's just would play out, and then the new energy would come in, because I would just fall asleep seeing better comments, and then I would get better comments. I could do anything. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you stayed with me, because I did feel like I might have been a little all over the place, because it's really tough to explain, especially when I just really like did it for the first time. I'll probably get better. Like I said, sometimes you got to digest it, and then, you know, maybe tomorrow or the next day, I'll be able to explain it a little bit better. But I was excited to make this video and share it, because it had just happened, and I just felt like I needed to share it. So hope you enjoy your night. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. See you.